Hello, mic check 1, 2, 3. Here we are again with another stream. We have already completed 50% of the book. We shall continue the book tonight as well. I've got plans. Soon I shall be revealing them as well. So, we are close to 1K. Walaikum assalam, Cinnamon. We are really very close to 1K now. Walaikum assalam, Lukman Shafi. Welcome to the stream. I think we have reached up to 984, I guess. Wait, let me check. Okay, 984 is the count. 16 more to go and we'll be there. Inshallah. And I shall be coming up with a video soon. गुजरात फाइल्स को हम कंटिन्यू ही करेंगे आज. Perhaps आज 40% तक कर लें. उसके बाद फिर एक दिन और गुजरात फाइल्स फिनिश्ड. वैसे तो मैं बड़ा क्यूरियस हूँ आगे जाके और क्या होना है इस बुक में. I don't know about you people, but I'm really very curious. फिर एक स्ट्रीम में इसका रिव्यू कर देंगे 10-15 मिनट. ठीक है ना. So we have almost completed. Walaikum assalam Mudassir bhai. Walaikum assalam Nancy David. You were not present yesterday. Where were you? So we have almost completed, I guess, around 650 hours. तो अब 3300 hours और हमें चाहिए इस चैनल को ऑथराइज करने के लिए. Only 3300 hours. And for that we need to work. अगर आप लोगों के पास और एक डिवाइस है तो उसको भी रख दीजिए स्ट्रीमिंग पे ताकि हमारे काउंटिंग आवर जो है बढ़ जाए. Let me tell you guys, one viewer for 1 hour means 1 hour itself. 2 viewer for 2 hour means 2 hour. अगर 10 बंदे बैठ जाए तो 10 घंटे 1 घंटे के लिए, 2 घंटे के लिए वो 20 घंटे हो जाते हैं. आपको गुना मिलेगा. आओ कल नहीं, आप कल नहीं आई. ओके. So Ainan is here. वालेकुम अस्सलाम. ओके, एनसी का एग्जाम चल रहा है. बेस्ट ऑफ लक फॉर योर एग्जामिनेशंस. वेरी वेरी बेस्ट ऑफ लक. हम चाहते हैं कि आप बेहतर करें. ओके, वेयर इज जी? मोस्ट वेलकम. जी किधर है? जी 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 जी, वेयर आर यू? आई थिंक शी इज इन द स्पेस परहैप्स. हाँ, शायद स्पेस में ही होगी. तो आप स्पेस में हम शुरू करते हैं बुक को. इट्स ऑलरेडी लेट, 10:40. So what are my plans? Plans को डिस्कस करते हैं थोड़ा बहुत. What I was thinking is this. I am going to hold a Zoom meeting. वो भी लाइव स्ट्रीम पे. तो उसमें पार्टिसिपेंट्स देखने हैं मुझे कौन कौन आएगा. And let's have a good discussion. या तो इस बुक के रिलेटेड या तो कुछ और, वो मैं देखूंगा. बट फर्स्ट ऑफ ऑल लेट मी गैदर द पार्टिसिपेंट्स. देखते हैं कौन कौन ज्वाइन करेगा. वो भी जरूरी है बिकॉज इट विल बी लाइव. वो भी मसला है. और कौन अपना कैमरा ऑन करके he'll be or she will be revealing their identity and face, that is also necessary. क्योंकि ऐसे आप आओगे, कैमरा बंद होगा और कोई बात भी नहीं करेगा तो जूम मीटिंग का फायदा ही क्या आएगा. we'll be having a nice discussion there. देखते हैं किस बारे में करेंगे. क्या हम जॉन साहब का कलाम पढ़ेंगे या जॉन साहब का वीडियो देखेंगे, वट एवर इट इज, वो देखते हैं. वो मैं फर्दर कोर्स ऑफ टाइम में देख लूंगा. बट वी विल बी होल्डिंग जूम मीटिंग्स और उनको हम डायरेक्टली लाइव स्ट्रीम में लाएंगे और इसी वक्त लाएंगे, इसी टाइम पे. या हम रिकॉर्ड करके लेटर ऑन यहाँ अपलोड कर देंगे. सो Nancy David is asking when. After we cross 1K on YouTube, तो उसके बाद हम ये कंटिन्यू रखेंगे। कौन सा चीज़? ये वाली चीज़, जूम मीटिंग में लाइव होके। और उसके बाद क्या करेंगे कि जूम मीटिंग में लाइव होके ही एक दिन हम बात करेंगे व्हाट शैल वी बी डूइंग। फिर आगे जाके हम बुक्स को पढ़ेंगे, रूमी को पढ़ेंगे। वी शैल कंटिन्यू द गुड थिंग विच इज रीडिंग द बुक्स। ठीक है ना? वो अच्छा रहेगा। और उसमें आप पार्टिसिपेट भी कर पाओगे, मतलब यू विल बी आस्किंग क्वेश्चंस, वो लाइव होगा सब कुछ उसमें। तो वो बड़ा ही कुछ मतलब, समझ रहे हो ना, कोहेसिव भी होगा और बड़ा इंटरेक्टिव होगा। उस वजह से वी शैल बी गैदरिंग मोर एंड मोर व्यूवर्स, जो कि हमारे चैनल को ज़रूरत है इस टाइम, बिकॉज वी आर एट द बिगिनिंग स्टेज। जैसे मैंने कहा, वी नीड मोर एंड मोर व्यूवर्स, लिसनर्स, जिसकी वजह से हमें जो हमारे विविंग आवर्स हैं वो बढ़ने चाहिए। आई वॉन्ट देम टू बी एज 4,000 as soon as possible so that our channel gets monetized as well as authorized। ठीक है ना? तो गुजरात फाइल्स को कंटिन्यू करें? बोलिए, shall we continue with Gujarat files? We have already completed 50% of the book. The remaining is 50%. Shall we continue? सो गए क्या सबके सब? चलिए ठीक है, कंटिन्यू कर रहा हूँ। Apparently, he resigned, but under Advani's pressure. Advani pressurized Vajpayee. मैंने वाजपेयी पढ़ा। I am really sorry. Apparently, he resigned, but under Advani's pressure. Advani pressurized Vajpayee to not accept the resignation. I had given a presentation about the riots to then PM Vajpayee, and Modi was also there. Question. The CM would not have been very happy with that answer. It was not a question of being happy or unhappy. I had to give a presentation of what happened. At that time, I could see that Vajpayee was unhappy with Modi and his role. Question. He also surely went slow. He could have showed electric, and he played politics. Answer. He would have gained had he stepped down then, as in politically. Now he is trying to get rid of that image. Question. He came to power on the basis of religion, his rhetoric. Answer. In 2002, he got his votes because of the riots. He got more votes in 2007 because he built an image of development. Question. How were the other officers? Answer. Frankly speaking, as the ex secretary, DGP was himself a man of integrity, but he was too mild to be an effective officer. He don't bow to political dictates during the riots, but he could not control his men, his police officers. Otherwise, he was upright. Supposing some pressures were there from the government to transfer officers, he would say no. Get me orders on paper. Question. He must have then been in the bad books of the government. Answer. Yes, he was. A good thing for me was that he was there with me during the riots, at least one impartial man. So that was a good support. Technically, all the cabinet ministers have all the powers except for specific powers like collectors and DMs too. All other powers, though there is a delegation. But if cabinet ministers give you legal orders other than the Constitution of India gives you the permission to say no. Question. Did you have the guts during the riots to say no? Answer. We had to say what we had to say. All said and done, they don't have the guts to give such orders. They don't have on paper. So I said, I will act upon what papers tell me. Question. You must have faced the ire of the state government. Answer. I did. I was not given the post of chief secretary. But the officers like inspectors and darogas had the power to arrest a minister, including the CM. But they chose to side with the government. Question. Is this what happened? Answer. Yes. And in this era of mobile phones, they just tell me They just tell them to do the job, and the officers care more for promotions. When the army came in, they needed a lot of paraphernalia. As a matter of fact, we did not get proper force meant for riots. All forces were in Ayodhya. Central government did not give them to us. Question: How political did the riots get? Answer: They were communally charged. The ruling party supported the Bandh call given by the Vishwa Hindu Parishad. That was a big problem, and the senior police officers would tell us that unless the political signals go from the BJP, it won't work because they think we are siding with the people. Question: But Modi looks to be more a work of PR than anything else. Answer: Absolutely. Question: Look at the entire hype around vibrant Gujarat. Answer: He nods. But why is he targeted so much? Answer: He is being targeted because he chose to support VHP, Vishwa Hindu Parishad. He did precisely what he had to do and he got what he wanted. People like Chakravarti didn't get praised, didn't get rewards because they chose to listen to their conscience. Question: Everybody is really praising G. Subbarao, the chief secretary. Answer: Really? Question: I am being sarcastic. Answer: Unfortunately, Subbarao wanted to please the government. He wanted to please the CM, but he could not succeed even with that. Question: Why? Answer: I mean, he was given a comfortable 5 year tenure by the government post his retirement. Question: How much should I be mentioning about the riots in my film? Answer: See, then your film will get controversial because the riots were controversial. Question: So I did not ask your CM a single question about the riots. Answer: If you had, he would have diverted you and, of course, not given you a second meeting. Question: Why did a man like Bhatt, ये संजीव भट्ट के बारे में कह रही है, go against the CM and the government? Answer: There must have been a reason. Whoever his boss is must have told him. It must have been an instance of whoever was bossing over him. Question: How credible is he? Answer: He is not credible. Question: Acha, by the way, Jayant Ravi's reference was given to me by Maya Kodnani. Answer: Oh, acha. Question: She sounded very anti-national government. Sorry, she sounded very anti-government. Now she is, but earlier she was not. Earlier she was with the CM, the government. She was upset with the fact that nobody came to her rescue. Answer: Political bosses never come to anybody's rescue. Question: She claims to be all innocent. Answer: In the riots, she was definitely pro RSS, pro CM, and pro VHP. Question: Which means she actively participated during the riots. Answer: Yes. Question: How is Rahul Sharma? Answer: He is one of the rebels. Question: As in? Answer: Well, he didn't help anybody. He just wanted to control the riots. Question: Was he also thrown out? Answer: He was transferred out. In spite of the DJP's recommendation, Mr. Chakravarti's recommendation, and my supporting his recommendation. Question: Just because he went against the CM? Definitely. It is here that one needs to tell the story of Officer Rahul Sharma, whom I briefly met on 2 or 3 social occasions. The first time I met Rahul was when he had come to see a lawyer friend with his very educated and dignified wife. Sharma struck me as a quiet man who was not in a habit of narrating stories of his bravado of journalists. He let his work speak for itself and chose to remain silent on his legal case till such time that I was around. He was being hounded by the state government at that time. He was superseded, given negative marks in his annual confidential report, and 2 departmental charge sheets were issued against him. The Gujarat government subsequently cleared his request for premature retirement in 2015. An Indian Express report of Feb 2015 said this about him. Sharma was among the officers who took on the state government in 2002 Godhra riot cases and collected critical evidence as an investigator in the Naroda Patia, Naroda Gam, and Gulberg Society massacre cases while assisting the probe in 2002. even as he is fighting a legal battle in the Central Administrative Tribunal on three courts. Negative remarks in his annual confidential report and two departmental charge sheets issued to him. He had applied for retirement 3 months back, picking Feb 28th Feb 2015 as the day. State government, however, took a call on his letter only 2 days before his requested date. However, to understand the government's ire against Rahul Sharma, it is also essential to know what the Supreme Court appointed SIT thought of his persecution. A key point of the SIT report on the 2002 riots was that it affirmed that Narendra Modi government persecuted police officers who tried to put an end to violence in 2002, and that their persecution and hounding by the state had continued even after the riots. The Gujarat government had issued a notice to senior officer, IPS officer Rahul Sharma, asking how and why he submitted phone records of senior politicians and bureaucrats during the riots to inquiry commissions without approval. In its notice, 9 years after the riots, it asked Sharma why action should not be taken against him. This came at a time when the SIT itself stated that Modi government did not keep any records or minutes of the crucial meetings it held during riots. Sharma, a 1992 batch IPS officer, was DCP, Control Room, Ahmedabad in April 2002. Investigating the violence at Naroda Patia and Gulbarg Society, he collected data from AT&T and Salesforce mobile services provided of all calls received and made in Ahmedabad during this period and handed over these to crime branch. These CDs containing phone records of senior ministers, police officers, and members of RSS and VHP to each other were subsequently lost. But while deposing before the Nanavati Commission set up in March 2002 to inquire into the riots, Sharma submitted a copy of this CD that he had preserved. My colleague Anumena Yadav wrote a report in Tehelka which said, these phone records have been one of the most significant pieces of evidence in nailing the guilty, including the arrest and cancelling of anticipatory bails of Gujarat VHP President Jaydeep Patil and Minister Maya Kodnani in 2009. And in the investigation into the killings of Congress ex-MP Ahsan Jafri and 30 others at Gulbarg Society, the CDs are vital pieces of evidence in the Naroda Patia violence in which 105 Muslims were killed by official count. By scuttling in any effort for fair investigation seems to be the norm in Gujarat. A week before Sharma received his notice, another senior IPS officer, Satish Verma, member of a separate SIT, set up to inquire into the 2004 Ishrat Jahan encounter, flagged that he was being restricted from pursuing leads in the case. Verma, one of the three police officers probing this encounter allegedly carried by Gujarat police officers to please their political bosses, even submitted an affidavit citing instance of interference. In an 80-page affidavit in the Gujarat High Court on 28th January, Verma described how obvious forensic evidence had been ignored by the previous set up by Gujarat government in 2009, including bullets in Ishrat's body that did not match the weapon the police claim were used in the encounter. Verma described how Mohan Jha, a Gujarat cadre officer, who was also a member of the previous sit, and Karneel Singh, a Delhi cadre officer, deliberately forwarded the retraction of a key witness to the High Court without any comments to create doubt and ambiguity. Verma disclosed how Jha, who is the current JCP detection crime branch, tried to put 26 police officers directly under himself in the Special Operations Group last month, claiming they were needed for security in the vibrant Gujarat summit. All 26 were the DCB on that encounter of the day. Verma says that he had started maintaining an official note on what is going on in the sit in December, 19 days after the sit began work. This shows he saw the need to put the irregularities on the record and anticipated that his efforts for a fair investigation would be obstructed. It shows how twisted this attempt to investigate these fake encounter killing is, says a senior police officer requesting anonymity. Ashok Narayan was eloquent as he spoke about the fake encounters that followed the riots. Question: what about the encounters? Answer: Encounters are less on religious lines than political. Look at the Sohrabuddin encounter. He was killed at the behest of the politicians. Amit Shah is behind bars because of that. Everywhere it's happening. It's happening here also. Fake encounters are either politically motivated or due to over enthusiasm of cops. Question. Not during your term as Home Secretary. Answer. Not the Sohrabuddin encounter, just one of them. I told the officers what they were doing must be politically motivated. I told the DGP, what are you people doing? Question. You should write a book on what really happened during the riots. Answer. But who will believe me? Question. You were the Home Secretary. Answer. The Congress people will say you were a part of the government. So he has written the government version. The BJP will not agree with my version either. The political parties will believe what they want to. This was one of my last meetings with Ashok Narayan. He confirmed almost everything that I had heard in off the record conversations with the officials over the years. That some government officials who chose to side with the government were awarded, others were superseded. Let us assume, for the sake of argument, that Ashok Narayan was being judgmental and opinionated, even than the transfers and vindictive attitude of the Modi government towards officers who were against the administration in there for all to see. Rahul Sharma, Rajneesh Rai, Satish Verma, Kuldeep Sharma, all these officers have had at least 20 years of in-caucus cases unearthed and used against them. These were officers who tried to keep the flag of justice flying high at a time when justice was at its lowest ebb in Gujarat. And for that, they are being persecuted till today. We will see in later chapters how Kuldeep Sharma, the man who was to be the DG of Gujarat, was denied his promotion simply because he started an investigation against the Home Minister Amit Shah in the Madhopura cooperative cases. SP Rahul Sharma was suspended and had cases slapped against him for preventing rioters in a madrasa and later for providing the call records of various ministers during Gujarat riots to the investigating commissions. The dust had just about begun to clear. Ashok Narayan had confirmed the bias and complicity of a state where was allowed to flow in one of the deadliest riots that spanned a period of 3 months. It was time to move to the next chapter, and the chapter is G.C. Raigar. I met G.C. Raigar, intelligence head of the Gujarat during 2002 riots and later DG of police encountering during this Sohrabuddin encounter. On a day when everyone was excited about the scheduled India Pakistan cricket match, Ajay had arranged a screening at his place to be attended by most of his friends and had even invited me. I would have loved to go, but did not in order to avoid exposing myself to Ajay's friends, many of whom had strong political connections. He had revealed to me earlier that one of his close friends was Anar Patel, who ran an NGO in the city. Anar is the daughter of the Chief Minister of Gujarat, Anandi Ban Patel. When I arrived to meet Raigar, GC Raigar, that afternoon, he was anxiously waiting for the match to start. I hope Afridi does not start hitting sixes. Sir, as it is, our bowling lineup isn't very strong. I shared my two bits. Raigar served Rajasthani chivda and tea and began reminiscing about the days as the head of the Gujarat IB. He had appeared before the CBI in the Sohrabuddin fake encounter case and was under tremendous pressure at that point, as per newspaper reports. This was one meeting when this was when one meeting I was extremely apprehensive about as I had absolutely no idea on which side of the fence Raigar stood and how much truth one could elicit from him. Mike was back, and we had shifted back to the Nehru Foundation yet again. We met Raigar at his office, where he had been given a post retirement job of looking into cases of spurious liquor. RB Sri Kumar, ADGP intelligence during the 2002 Gujarat riots, had started in an interview after the riots. Many officials, in order to keep people at the top happy, did not do anything. Even my predecessor, GC Raigar, backed out. Subsequently, he was rewarded with a promotion even though he was my junior. He is even been given a post retirement as a member of the Spurious Commission, which comes under a High Court judge. Raigar, who was named by Butt in his affidavit to the Supreme Court, refused to confirm or deny if Butt had indeed attended the Chief Minister's meeting on 27th Feb 2002. I can't say anything. I was on leave that day, he had told a local newspaper. The then DGP K. Chakravarti, who Butt said in his affidavit had made him attend and assist in the meeting, had refused to speak to the media about the 2002 riots investigation. No leads were coming forth from him. Raigad was one of the key figures in both the Mumbai riots and the fake encounters that ensued. Two unfortunate yet glaring examples of criminal conspiracy in Gujarat. VL Solanki, one of the police officers during the Sohrabuddin encounter investigations, had given a written statement to the CBI, which was later included in the charge sheet. The statement said, in the first week 2006, she, Miss Geeta Johri, IG, directed me to meet her in her chamber. Accordingly, I went to Gandhinagar. Initially, she had discussed the progress of the inquiry with me. After a little while, Miss Geeta Johri had told me that a horrible incident had occurred that day, that the MOS, Shri Amit Shah, had called her along with additional DGP Shri GC Raigad and DGP Shri PC Pandey at his office and had discussed about the progress of the inquiry. She had told me that the MOS home was in a very bad mood and that he had inquired about her from her about me. That how could a police inspector like me dare to write reports which could land senior officers like Shri DG Vanzara and Rajkumar Pandian, who were responsible for the encounter of the Sohrabuddin, into serious trouble. Elaborating on the meeting, the SC had told the CBI that in the meeting Amit Shah held in 2006 with the then DGP of Gujarat, PC Pandey, ADGP, CID Raigad, GC Raigad, and IGP CID Geeta Johri. Then the lead investigator into the case, he had allegedly demanded that incriminating investigative reports prepared by Johri's deputy Solanki be altered. Solanki refused to cooperate. Instead, he sought to interview Prajapati, who was a witness to Sohrabuddin and Kausar B's abduction. Prajapati had shouted in open court in November 2006 that the police were going to kill him because he knew too much. A few days later, he was to speak to Solanki. He too was encountered. After an investigation of 18 months, CBI in the charge sheet filed later had named Amit Shah and 19 others accused, which included top cops like Pandey, Johri, OP Mathur, Rajkumar Pandey, and DG Vanzara, R.K. Patel. They were accused of conspiring to eliminate Prajapati, a witness to the killing of the gangster Sohrabuddin Sheikh in a fake encounter. Nine Gujarat Cadre IPS officers figured as witnesses: GC Raigad, Rajneesh Rai, IM Desai, PP Pandey, VB Rabari, Rajan Priyadarshi, Sudhir Sinha, AK Sharma, Mayur Chawda. CBI officers said Raigad and Rai were prime witness. The charge sheet said that in mid December 2006, Amit Shah called a meeting in his office attended by Pandey, Johri, and Raigad to express his displeasure over the investigation of the Sheikh case. Shah asked Johri to destroy certain documents, while Raigad requested that he be kept out. Pandey and Johri were willing, collusive members of these conspirational instructions, CBI said. Raigad told the CBI that when the Sohrabuddin fake encounter case was handled by him, he was under constant pressure from the then junior Home Minister Amit Shah. He was unhappy with the work I was doing. He wanted to get some illegal work done through me. But this put me under a lot of stress, so I sought a transfer. The same day, the Home Minister ordered for me to transfer to Karai. Another officer, OP Mathur, was given charge in his police. I told Shah to give me some days to carry out the transfer, but he transferred me the same day, Raigad said. He also said that the then PI, VL Solanki, who was investigating the case, had never asked his permission to visit Udaipur regarding this case. The then ADGP OP Mathur in his statement said the Deputy SP GB Pandheria and IGP Geeta Johri had had a disagreement after Johri had doubts that Pandheria was responsible for turning a witness, Nathubai Jadeja, hostile. The entire episode was brought to the notice of the principal secretary, who said They should sort it out themselves. This was later sorted out. However, Johri did not take him into confidence, he told the CBI. The details of these statements emerged after I had left Gujarat in March 2011 after my sting operation. In December, when I first met Raigat in his office with Mike, he was still being summoned by the CBI to interrogate him. I explained the sensitivity of the situation to Mike and that there was a chance that he would not be able to elicit anything from him. We would not be able to elicit from him. Let's not ask him anything about politics today, Mike. Let's pretend like Firangs, who are absolutely out of the loop. Raigar took very well to Mike, asking him about his experience in Gujarat. Mike briefed him about his shoots at Ahmedabad, Kofa, Paldi, Sarkhaj Roda. I was not sure if it was just Gujaratis who were fascinated with anything foreign or American, or was it the conviction that both of us displayed that had these officers buying our story so readily. I remember my conversation with Rahul Doholakia, a Gujarati and filmmaker from Bollywood, whose film Parzania, based on the Gujarat riots, was banned from screening in cinema houses in the state. Sting in the Costa Coffee in Juhu, Mumbai, Rahul had me in splits when he regaled me with stories about his experience of getting funds and filming Parzania. His producer, till such time that the Hindu right wing protested against the film, had no idea that the film was against the injustice meted out to the minorities in the state during the riots. Rahul and he played the card of making a film on Gujarat for the NRIs. My narrative to most of those I met in Gujarat was similar. That was enough context for the producers and concerned authorities to repose faith in Dolakia. On one occasion, when he wanted footage of Gujarat riots for the film, he approached a newspaper which had the relevant tapes. The man at the helm of affairs was impressed that he was from America, and even more impressed when he discovered that Dolakia's grandfather was the chairperson of the Hindu Mahasabha. He was given immediate access to everything he needed. The predicament of at hand, however, was Raigad. In the first meeting with us, he was more than willing to talk, giving me a furtherly lecture on not delaying my marriage further, as after an age, a girl finds it difficult to get a prospective mate. He belonged to an old fashioned family from Rajasthan and was finding it difficult to be a witness in the case against Amit Shah, fearing his wrath. But with evidence against Shah mounting each day on his culpability in the fake encounters, Raigad had finally decided to be a witness. But what Raigad revealed on the second day of my conversation with him was stunning. I knew the cast of characters in the fake encounters, but the manner in which each of the characters had been manipulated and utilized by the dispensation was difficult to comprehend. Raigad was as it is because he knew that I had already spoken to P.C. Pandey, Ashok Narayan, Rajan Priyadarshi, and he was convinced that I was covering the glorious police force of Gujarat. I spoke to him about the Bhuj earthquake, and he gave us notes on intensity of the quake and number of lives that were lost. The strenuous work that the Gujarat police had had to undertake in the aftermath. With a great show of naivety, I asked him if Gujarat was indeed as polarized as it was made out to be. Ah, he said, you have no idea what happened here in 2002. My show of naivety turned into open curiosity as he spoke about the riots. I told him that I had some notes on it from the other officers. Raigar was the head of the intelligence, which meant he had held a crucial post during the Gujarat riots. Question. But tell me that Modi part, that everybody holds him responsible. Answer. Don't make me talk about it. I have just gotten out of it. Question. You were in the midst of it when it was happening. Answer. I was. Question. Quite a sore point. Answer. Yes, I want to forget those 3 months of the riots. Certain things happened which should not have happened. Question. Really? Hurt your conscience too? Yes, it did. It did. Ashok Narayan also said that. Answer. Yes, he was also in the thick of things. It's still fresh in people's minds. It's everywhere. America still does not allow Modi. Okay? In spite of being so popular. Recently in WikiLeaks, it was said that America now wants to have good relations with him, but later the WikiLeaks said unceremonious things about him. So he came out in the media about the good part. Question. But were these the worst riots that the country had seen, worse than Mumbai? Answer. Yes. Mumbai was just for 2 days. This one lasted for months at a stretch. Question. But how? Why was it allowed to stretch for such long time? Answer. That Narayan must have told you. He was the Home Secretary then. Question. Yeah, he said he was very upset. He was very critical of the government and that the state government didn't act. Answer. He was the Home Secretary. He was the most important functionary for the government, and what he is saying has to be the truth. Question. But were all of you disillusioned? Answer. Yes, most of us were disillusioned, pained, except those who were towing the government line then. They sided with the government. It's not just the politicians who were playing, even the policemen were responsible. Question. So was it more like a politician police nexus during the riots? Answer. Limitedly, yes, because once the situation goes out of hand, not much can be done. Question. But he, Modi, drew a lot of political benefit from that. He is what he is today because of the riots. Answer. Oh, yes, absolutely. The very next election, they were jittery, but this came in handy. They thought they had done this for him. Soon after, the conversation moved on to the fake encounters. Raigad was the additional DGP when the investigations were carried on. He had been grilled over 10-hour session each day in May and June of that year by the CBI about the fake encounters. Yet he was happy to give his side to the story to me, of the story to me. Question. What's with the encounters here? You were with there. Answer. I was in just one. One criminal. Sohrabuddin was killed in a false encounter. What was foolishly done was they killed his wife. Question. Some ministers also were involved. Answer. Home Minister Amit Shah. Question. It must have been difficult serving under him. Answer. We disagreed with him. We refused to take his orders, which is why we were saved from being arrested in the encounters. Question. Is it as bad everywhere? Answer. Gujarat was much better 10 years ago. Question. Is it because of the political change? Answer. In a democracy, if a person becomes too big, it can be detrimental. Like this minister, the Home Minister, Amit Shah. He controls transfers, postings, promotions, and if somebody does not do his job, he is sent to a side posting, and nobody wants to be sent to a side posting, which is why I asked to be transferred during the Sohrabuddin case. Question. Transferred because they didn't want you to investigate? Answer. Because I didn't want to investigate in the wrong way. Question. And they wanted you to investigate the wrong way? Answer. Yes. Question. How does a man get to do all this? How could Amit Shah be allowed to get away? Answer. He found his way. He was close to the people in power. Question. He was close to the CM. Answer. Yes, he was very close to the CM. He was closest to the CM. Question. So the CM could not protect him from being arrested? Answer. He could not do it. There was evidence against him. Question. Yes. And then he moved. He would have himself got involved in it. Answer. If he interferes, he goes. That way, this fellow CM is clear. He knew everything, but he kept a distance, so he was not caught in it. There is a law. You can't go on doing encounters. Even if you do, because of one reason, you can't go about eliminating people. And for those ministers, it's very easy. They go scot free. They don't have to sign. They do things verbally. But now with technology, it becomes very easy. They use phones which can be tracked. Question. Yes, in your case, it was. I was reading that they got the ministers in because of some call records. Answer. Yes. Question. But there are upright officers in the state, unlike what we are saying, what we are seeing. Answer. Yes, there are a lot of them, but to do some damage, you just need some bad fish. However, there are some good officers left because of which now ministers are being booked. Question. Yes, somebody asked me to meet an officer called Rahul Sharma. He apparently is upright and so not in the good books of the government. Answer. He is under scrutiny by the government for saving Muslims. He saved Muslim children in a school. Not only saved, but he also arrested some people. And he arresting a ruling party member, so they got him transferred from his post. There was a problem from the government side, and initially they never realized the situation would be so bad. Initially, they didn't want to use force against the rioters, which is why the things went out of control. Question: is it true that they wanted to go soft on Hindus who were against Muslims? Answer: initially, yes, not realizing that it will go so bad, but what you said is true. Question: but you officers were asked to go soft on Hindus and rioters. Answer: not we, not in general, but people who mattered in most important positions in certain places, in certain areas, they were communicated. Question: there was a CM called Keshubai before PM Modi. How was he? Answer: in comparison to Modi, he was a saint. By comparison, I mean Keshubai will not deliberately want somebody to be harmed, whatever religion. He will not let them be harmed because they were Muslims. Question: but sir, from a neutral point of view, for instance, a lot of facts seem to be mixed with fiction. Answer: you know it's difficult because these people do not give direct orders. They are all invisible. In law, also, look at it. For instance, if the chief secretary says that I won't follow you, and the CM says you have to, then whatever happens, it is the responsibility of the CM. In the police force, however, it is my responsibility, not the CM. Mr. Chakravarti made the same point. He said the certain orders were given, but they were not given directly, and that's something that needs to be understood. Answer: yes, it's like they would tell it to people they had obliged in the past. They know who would help them. Informally, they would talk to the inspectors and lower rung police officers, but not all the officers would take their orders. There are certain officers at the top who still have convictions left. Question: so it boomerangs if the CM tells them? Answer: yes. Like the man you met in Gandhinagar, Ashok Narayan, he would not take anything. He would not say yes, sir. Question: also, he is an IS officer. Answer: yes, they receive orders on papers, unlike us. Question: sir, also you brought up something interesting. For instance, when you said that during the encounter investigation, you were under political pressure. Can't you then arrest the same people who pressurized you? For instance, this home minister? Answer: there was to be certain evidence. This is the evidence available against us. I told that Shah that I won't do certain things when he asked me to. There are many people who would say, yes, sir, we would do it because they had other interests. Question: so the state can't really harm you if you directly went against this HM? Well, not directly unless they indirectly get me killed. But yes, there is democracy here, so we can survive. Question: I was reading up on you, and apparently there is an allegation against your Home Minister Shah that he used to ask the other officers concerned for witnesses and statements. Answer: but he never got them. He indirectly would ask, who are the people who are speaking against me? Question: what happened to Miss Johri? She said Sohrabuddin was a terrorist. Answer: see, the point is not as much as about Sohrabuddin as about his wife. Even if Sohrabuddin was killed in right or wrongful encounter, it would not have been a problem. The point was the wife. Why was she killed? And that too 3 days later. Question: so you were investigating in it? Answer: we investigated when his entire thing came up about the encounters being false came up. So Geeta did it. She was working under me till I was there. She did a good job. After that, you know. Question: which is why you were transferred? Yes. In fact, I also met PC Pandey. Oh, he was the commissioner of police. Question: so you both working together during the riots? Answer: yes, we had to. I was the IB chief. Question: and many officers whom I met said that the CM confided in Pandey and got all the job done in the riots through him. Answer: you know everything by now about the riots. Raigar had said everything. Indeed, he had left nothing unsaid. In every word he had said to us, the involvement of Modi, Shah, and the complicit cops stared us in the face. I was simmering inside. Mike could feel my anger. He held my hand when we left Raigad's residence, it was brazen. Raigad had confirmed all the offhand conversation on the state complicity in Gujarat riots and fake encounter. Did Raigad not conclude that Officer Sharma was being victimized by the state for having saved the lives of Muslim students in madrasa in Gujarat? Could we still believe that there was a media witch hunt against the then CM and his ministers? The evidence on these tapes stated otherwise. My head was hurting. I longed for my family. I longed for the warmth of my own people. I yearned to run away from the hatred that was being peddled in this unfortunate state that was revealed to me each day by someone or the other. I needed a break. I knocked on Pani's door. She had purchased from some decorative handcrafts from a local artisan and was trying to fix them on her wall. When she opened the door, she said, "Hey, help me." Give me a warm smile, giving me a warm smile, and went on talking about how beautiful Gujarat was. Yes, I mumbled. Yes, indeed, if only Pani could see the hatred that I had seen. She was all of 18, like many of Gujarati's young population. However, they being fed so much hatred, I didn't want to work for some time. I called up Ajay. There was a college festival for which he had some passes. He offered me to pick up. I put up on a black kurta, lined my eyes with kohl, and wore makeups and heels. Makeup and heels. Mike, who was reading a book close by, refused to accompany me, suggesting that I become a college student for a day and go out dancing and have a good evening. I desperately needed it. That evening, I felt that there was somebody parked outside the Nehru Foundation whom I had spotted there in the morning as well. Perhaps it was just a hunch. Instead of taking an auto to the college where the festival was to take place, I messaged Ajay to pick me up. That evening, I took pictures, danced with many students, sang out loud. The next day, the car that had been parked outside the previous day was missing. Chapter 8, PC Pandey. ये हम कल पढ़ेंगे. I think this is more than enough for today. बुक का इतना काफ़ी है. So we have completed almost 62% of the book. इतना इसके लिए काफ़ी है. This is getting too much sensitive. ठीक है. मुझे लगता है यहाँ सब सो गए. Anybody here? Hello, 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 hello. ओके, सिनेमैन इज हियर. तो मैंने रोका इसलिए क्योंकि ये थोड़ा सेंसिटिव जा रहा था. कल पढ़ेंगे इसको. हाँ, तो हमारे पास अभी मुदस्सिर साहब हैं, सिनेमैन है. ओके, और अब इसको पढ़ें. शैल वी रीड रूमी? बता दीजिए. हाँ, रूमी पढ़ते हैं. So we are at 986 सब्सक्राइबर्स. ठीक है, और 14 and we will be crossing 1K. سو واٹ ڈو وی نیڈ ناؤ؟ وی نیڈ واچ آرس. اور وہ ہم کیسے لائیں گے؟ اسٹریمنگ کے تھرو. تو اس منتھ تو پاسبل نہیں ہوگا کیونکہ اس منتھ تو یہی مطلب نمبرز ہی کم آئیں گے. تو زوم میٹنگ دیکھتے ہیں زوم میٹنگ میں کتنے آئیں گے پھر. That's a good idea. Let us see. And I was planning to interview a person. دیکھتے ہیں وہ پلان کیسا جاتا ہے وہ بھی دیکھنا پڑے گا. سو let us see. I guess کل تک تو 1K ہو جائے گا. کرنٹلی ابھی ہمارے پاس 986 ہے. So which is a good number. We need another 14 and that's it. I guess کل تک ہو جائے گا. چلے میں رومی کا دیکھ لیتا ہوں. پک ایکس ہم نے پڑھا تھا. ذکر ہم نے پڑھا تھا. دیکھتے ہیں یہاں پہ چھوڑا تھا ہم نے. عمر اینڈ دا اولڈ پوئٹ یہ پڑھ لیا تھا ہم نے. If that does exist پڑھ لیا تھا. ہاں ہمیں یہ پڑھنا ہے چائنیز آرٹ اینڈ دا گریک آرٹ. ٹھیک ہے. تو احمد فراز کا کچھ پڑھ لے. ہاں ٹھیک ہے احمد فراز کا کچھ پڑھیں گے کوئی مسئلہ نہیں. چلے احمد فراز کا کچھ پڑھ لیتے ہیں. احمد فراز. احمد فراز. فراز چشمہ پہلے ہم پڑھتے ہیں. تو آپ ڈیسائیڈ کیجئے گا زوم میٹنگ میں کون کون آئے گا کون کون پارٹیسپینٹ رہے گا وہاں پہ. یہ نہیں کہ پیسیو پارٹیسپینٹ بلکہ ایکٹیو پارٹیسپینٹ. اور ہاں اگر آپ ایک دو کا چلتا ہے اگر وہ کیمرہ پہ نہ آئے دیٹس اوکے مگر ان کی وائس چلنی چاہیے اور ٹھیک ٹھاک وہ بولنے چاہیے مطلب چپ چاپ نہ رہے وہاں پہ. چپ چاپ ہی رہنا تو پھر زوم میٹنگ میں آنا نہیں ہے. وہاں پہ دیکھتے ہیں ٹھیک ہے نا. رات کا کیا پڑھے. دیکھتے ہیں ہمیں اس پہ. یہ مجھے لگتا ہے یہ والی غزل پڑھتے ہیں. یہ ہم نے اس سے پہلے پڑھی نہیں ہے. ہاں فرماتے ہیں کہ ایسے دل بھی کڑی ہو جیسے. ایسے چپ ہے کہ یہ منزل بھی کڑی ہو جیسے. تیرا ملنا بھی جدائی کی گھڑی ہو جیسے. ایسے چپ ہے کہ یہ جیسے. تیرا ملنا بھی جدائی کی گھڑی سے. اپنے ہی سائے سے ہر گام لرز جاتا ہوں. اپنے ہی سائے سے لرز جاتا ہوں. راستے میں کوئی دیوار ہو جیسے. کتنے ناداں ہیں تیرے بھولنے والے کہ تجھے. کتنے ناداں ہیں تیرے بھولنے والے تھے. یاد کرنے کے لیے عمر پڑی ہو جیسے. کتنے ناداں ہیں تیرے بھولنے والے کہ تجھے. یاد کرنے کے لیے عمر پڑی ہو جیسے. پہلے بھی دیکھی تھی مگر تیرے ماتھے کی شکن پہلے بھی دیکھی تھی مگر. یہ گرا اب کہ میرے دل میں پڑی ہو جیسے. منزلیں دور بھی ہیں منزلیں نزدیک بھی ہیں. منزلیں دور بھی ہے منزلیں نزدیک بھی ہے. جیسے منزلیں دور بھی ہیں منزلیں نزدیک بھی ہیں اپنے ہی پاؤں میں زنجیر پڑی ہو جیسے آج دل کے روئے ہیں تو یوں خوش ہے فراز چند لمحوں کی یہ راحت بھی بڑی ہو جیسے ایسے چپ ہے کہ منزل بھی کڑی ہو جیسے تیرا ملنا بھی کی گڑی ہو جیسے اسی طرح فرماتے ہیں کہ آم، یہ فرماتے ہیں کہ ہر کوئی دل کی ہتھیلی پہ ہے صحرا رکھے ہر کوئی دل کی ہتھیلی پہ ہے صحرا رکھے کس کو سیراب کرے وہ کسے پیاسا رکھے عمر بھر کون نبھاتا ہے تعلق اتنا اے میری جان کے دشمن تجھے اللہ رکھے ہر کوئی دل کی ہتھیلی پہ ہے صحرا رکھے کس کو سیراب کرے وہ کسے پیاسا رکھے ہم کو اچھا نہیں لگتا کوئی ہم نام تیرا ہم کو اچھا نہیں لگتا کوئی ہم نام تیرا کوئی تجھ سا ہو تو پھر نام بھی تجھ سا رکھے دل بھی پاگل ہے کہ اس شخص سے وابستہ ہے دل بھی پاگل ہے کہ اس شخص سے وابستہ ہے جو کسی اور کا ہونے دینا اپنا رکھے تم نہیں طامت عبادت بھی تو ہر سے زار سے فقر تو ہے کہ وہ جو دن جو دین نہ دنیا رکھے ہنسنا اتنا فقیروں کے اکیلے پن پر یا خدا میری طرح تجھ کو بھی تنہا رکھے یہ کنات ہے اطاعت ہے کہ چاہت ہے فراز ہم تو راضی ہیں وہ جس حال میں جیسا رکھے ہر کوئی دل کی ہتھیلی پہ ہے صحرا رکھے کس کو سیراب کرے وہ کسے پیاسا رکھے فرماتے ہیں کہ آنکھ سے دور نہ ہو دل سے اتر جائے گا آنکھ سے دور نہ ہو دل سے اتر جائے گا وقت کا کیا ہے گزرتا ہے گزر جائے گا اتنا مانوس نہ ہو خلوت غم سے اپنی اتنا مانوس نہ ہو خلوت غم سے اپنی تو کبھی خود کو بھی دیکھے گا تو ڈر جائے گا آنکھ سے دور نہ ہو دل سے اتر جائے گا وقت کا کیا ہے گزرتا ہے گزر جائے گا اتنا مانوس نہ ہو خلوت غم سے اپنی تو کبھی خود کو بھی دیکھے گا تو ڈر جائے گا ڈوبتے ڈوبتے کشتی کو اچھالا دی تو میں نہیں کوئی تو ساحل پہ اتر جائے گا زندگی تیری عطا ہے تو یہ جانے والے تیری بخشش تیری دہلیز پہ دھر جائے گا ضبط لازم ہے مگر دکھ ہے قیامت کا فراز ضبط لازم ہے مگر دکھ ہے قیامت کا فراز ظالم اب کے بھی نہ روئے گا تو مر جائے گا آنکھ سے دور نہ ہو دل سے اتر جائے گا وقت کا کیا ہے گزرتا ہے گزر جائے گا فرماتے ہیں کہ رنجش ہی سہی دل ہی دکھانے کے لیے رنجش ہی سہی دل ہی دکھانے کے لیے پھر سے مجھے چھوڑ کے جانے کے لیے رنجش ہی سہی دل ہی دکھانے کے لیے آ پھر سے مجھے چھوڑ کے جانے کے لیے کچھ تو کچھ تو میرے پندار محبت کا برم رکھ کچھ تو میرے پندار محبت کا برم رکھ تو بھی تو کبھی مجھ کو منانے کے لیے رنجش ہی سہی دل ہی دکھانے کے لیے پھر سے مجھے چھوڑ کے جانے کے لیے کچھ تو میرے پندار محبت کا برم رکھ تو بھی تو کبھی تو بھی تو کبھی مجھ کو منانے کے لیے پہلے سے مراسم نہ سہی پھر بھی کبھی تو، پہلے سے مراسم نہ سہی پھر بھی کبھی تو رسموں رہ دنیا ہی نبھانے کے لیے آ، کس کس کو بتائیں گے جدائی کا سبب ہم، کس کس کو بتائیں گے جدائی کا سبب ہم، تو مجھ سے خفا ہے تو زمانے کے لیے آ، ایک عمر سے ہوں لذت گریاں سے بھی محروم، ایک عمر سے ہوں لذت گریاں سے بھی محروم، اے راحت جاں مجھ کو رلانے کے لیے آ، اب تک دل خوش فہم کو ہے تجھ سے امیدیں، اب تک دل خوش فہم کو ہے تجھ سے امیدیں، یہ آخری شمع بھی بجھانے کے لیے آ، رنجش ہی سہی دل ہی دکھانے کے لیے آ، پھر سے مجھے چھوڑ کے جانے کے لیے آ، کس کس کو بتائیں گے جدائی کا سبب ہم، تو مجھ سے خفا ہے تو زمانے کے لیے آ، ایک عمر سے ہوں لذت گریاں سے بھی محروم، اے راحت جاں مجھ کو رلانے کے لیے آ، اسی کے ساتھ فرماتے ہیں کہ ان کی ایک نظم ہے وہ پڑھ رہا ہوں کہ فرماتے ہیں، مجھ سے پہلے تجھے جس شخص نے چاہا اس نے، مجھ سے پہلے تجھے جس شخص نے چاہا اس نے شاید اب بھی تیرا غم دل سے لگا رکھا ہو، مجھ سے پہلے تجھے جس شخص نے چاہا اس نے شاید اب بھی تیرا غم دل سے لگا رکھا ہو، ایک بے نام سی امید پہ اب بھی شاید اپنے خوابوں کے جزیروں کو سجا رکھا ہو، میں نے مانا میں نے مانا کہ وہ بیگانہ پیمان وفا، میں نے مانا کہ وہ بیگانہ پیمان وفا کھو چکا ہے جو کسی اور کی رعنائی میں، شاید اب لوٹ کے آئے نہ تیری محفل میں اور کوئی دکھ نہ رلائے تجھے تنہائی میں نے مانا میں نے مانا کہ شب و روز کے ہنگاموں میں وقت ہر غم کو بلا دیتا ہے رفتہ رفتہ، چاہے امید کی شمع ہو کی یادوں کے چراغ مستقل باد بجھا دیتا ہے رفتہ رفتہ، پھر بھی ماضی کا خیال آتا ہے گاہے گاہے، مدتیں درد کی لو کم تو نہیں کر سکتی، زخم زخم بر جائے مگر داغ تو رہ جاتا ہے، دوریوں سے کبھی یادیں تو نہیں مر سکتی، یہ بھی ممکن ہے کہ ایک دن وہ پشیماں ہو کر تیرے پاس آئے زمانے سے کنارہ کر لے، تو کہ معصوم بھی ہے زود فراموش بھی ہے، اس کی پیماں شکنی کو بھی گوارا کر لے، اور میں اور میں جس نے تجھے اپنا مسیحا سمجھا ایک زخم اور بھی پہلے کی طرح سہ جاؤں، جس پہ پہلے بھی کئی عہد وفا ٹوٹے ہیں، اسی دو راہ پہ چپ چاپ کھڑا رہ جاؤں، سب سے پہلے تجھے جس شخص نے چاہا اس نے شاید اب بھی تیرا غم دل سے لگا رکھا ہو۔ فرماتے ہیں کہ اب احمد فراز کی بات اٹھی ہے تو فراز کو ہی پڑھیں گے۔ فرماتے ہیں کہ یہ میری غزلیں یہ میری نظمیں، یہ میری غزلیں یہ میری نظمیں تمام تیری حکایتیں ہیں، یہ تذکرے تیرے لطف کے ہیں، یہ شعر تیری شکایتیں ہیں، میں سب تیری نظر کر رہا ہوں، یہ ان زمانوں کی ساعتیں ہیں جو زندگی کے نئے سفر میں تجھے کسی وقت یاد آئے، تو ایک ایک حرف جی اٹھے گا پہن کے انفاس کی قبائے، اداس تنہائیوں کے لمحوں میں ناچ اٹھیں گی یہ افسرائے، مجھے تیرے دید کے مجھے تیرے درد کے علاوہ مجھے تیرے درد کے علاوہ بھی اور دکھ تھے یہ مانتا ہوں، ہزار غم تھے جو زندگی کی تلاش میں تھے یہ جانتا ہوں، مجھے خبر تھی کہ تیرے آنچل میں درد کی ریت چھانتا ہوں، مگر ہر ایک بار تجھ کو چھو کر یہ ریت ترنگے ہنا بنی ہے، یہ زخم گلزار بن گئے ہیں، یہ آہ سوزا گٹا بنی ہے، یہ درد موجے سپا ہوا ہے، یہ آگ دل کی صدا بنی ہے، اور اب یہ ساری متاع ہستی، یہ پھول یہ زخم سب تیرے ہیں، یہ دکھ کے نوحے یہ سکھ کے نغمے، جو کل میرے تھے وہ اب تیرے ہیں، جو تیری قربت تیری جدائی میں کٹ گئے روز و شب تیرے ہیں، وہ تیرا شاعر تیرا مغنی، وہ جس کی باتیں عجیب سی تھی، وہ جس کے انداز خسروانہ تھے اور ادائیں غریب سی تھی، وہ جس کے جینے کی خواہشیں بھی خود اس کے اپنے نصیب سی تھی، نہ پوچھ اس کا کہ وہ دیوانہ بہت دنوں کا اجڑ چکا ہے، نہ پوچھ اس کا کہ وہ دیوانہ بہت دنوں کا اجڑ چکا ہے، وہ کوہکاں تو نہیں تھا لیکن کڑی چٹانوں سے لڑ چکا ہے، وہ تھک چکا تھا اور اس کا تیشا اسی کے سینے میں گڑ چکا ہے۔ اس کے ساتھ ہی یہ فراز کا جو استاد ہے ان کا پڑھیں گے۔ فراز کے استاد سے آپ تعارف تو ہوں گے، ان کا نام فیض احمد فیض ہے۔ ان کا ان کو کون ہی جانتا۔ فرماتے ہیں کہ دونوں جہاں تیری محبت میں ہار کے، دونوں جہاں تیری محبت میں ہار کے، وہ جا رہا ہے کوئی شب غم گزار کے، دونوں جہاں تیری محبت میں ہار کے، وہ جا رہا ہے کوئی شب غم گزار کے، ویراں ہے میں کدا خم و ساگر اداس ہے، ویراں ہے میں کدا خم و ساگر اداس ہے، تم کیا گئے کہ روٹھ گئے دن بہار کے، ایک فرصت گناہ ملی وہ بھی 4 دن، ایک فرصت گناہ ملی وہ بھی 4 دن، دیکھے ہیں ہم نے حوصلے پروردگار کے، دنیا نے تیری یاد سے بیگانہ کر دیا، دنیا نے تیری یاد سے بیگانہ کر دیا، تجھ سے بھی دل فریب ہے غم روزگار کے، بھولے سے مسکرا تو دیے تھے وہ آج فیض، مت پوچھ ولولے دلے نہ کردکار کے، دونوں جہاں تیری محبت میں ہار کے، وہ جا رہا ہے کوئی شب غم گزار کے۔ اس کے ساتھ فرماتے ہیں کہ یہ تو سبوں نے سنی ہوگی، گلوں میں رنگ برے بادنوں بہار چلے، گلوں میں رنگ برے بادنوں بہار چلے، چلے بھی آؤ کہ گلشن کا کاروبار چلے، قفس اداس ہے یارو صبا سے کچھ تو کہو، ہی تو بہر خدا آج ذکر یار چلے، کبھی تو صبح تیرے کنج لب سے ہو آغاز، کبھی تو صبح تیرے کنج لب سے ہو آغاز، کبھی تو شب سر کاکل سے مشک بار چلے، پڑا ہے درد کا رشتہ یہ دل غریب سہی، پڑا ہے درد کا رشتہ یہ دل غریب سہی، تمہارے نام پہ آئیں گے غم گسار چلے، جو ہم پہ گزری سو گزری مگر شب ہجرا، ہمارے اشک تیری عاقبت سوار چلے، حضور یار ہوئی دفتر جنوں کی طلب، گراں میں لے کے گریباں کا تار تار چلے، مقام فیض کوئی راہ میں جچا ہی نہیں، جو کوے یار سے نکلے تو صوبے دار چلے، گلوں میں رنگ برے بادنوں بہار چلے۔ فرماتے ہیں کہ ہم پر تمہاری چاہ کا الزام ہی تو ہے، ہم پر تمہاری چاہ کا الزام ہی تو ہے، دشنام تو نہیں یہ اکرام ہی تو ہے، کرتے ہیں جس پہ تان کوئی جرم تو نہیں، شوق فضول و الفت ناکام ہی تو ہے، دل مدعی کے حرف معاملات دل مدعی کے حرف ملامات سے شاد ہے، اے جانے جاں یہ حرف تیرا نام ہی تو ہے، دل نا امید تو نہیں ناکام ہی تو ہے، دل نا امید تو نہیں ناکام ہی تو ہے، لمبی ہے غم کی شام مگر شام ہی تو ہے، دستے فلک میں گردش تقدیر تو نہیں، دستے فلک میں گردش تقدیر تو نہیں، دستے فلک میں گردش ایام ہی تو ہے، آخر تو ایک روز کرے گی نظر وفا، وہ یار خوش خصال سر بام ہی تو ہے، بیگی ہے رات فیض غزل ابتدا کرو، وقت سرود درد کا ہنگام ہی تو ہے، ہم پر تمہاری چاہ کا الزام ہی تو ہے، دشنام تو نہیں یہ اکرام ہی تو ہے۔ فرماتے ہیں کہ ان کی نظم جو ہے بہت خوبصورت نظم، کہ خود سے پہلی سی محبت میرے محبوب نہ مانگ، خود سے پہلی سی محبت میرے محبوب نہ مانگ، میں نے سمجھا تھا کہ تو ہے تو درخشاں ہے حیات، تیرا غم ہے تو غم دہر کا جھگڑا کیا ہے، تیری صورت سے ہے عالم میں بہاروں کو ثبات، تیری آنکھوں کے سوا دنیا میں رکھا کیا ہے، تو جو مل جائے تو تقدیر نگو ہو جائے، یوں نہ تھا میں نے فقط چاہا تھا یوں ہو جائے، اور بھی دکھ ہے زمانے میں محبت کے سوا، راحتیں اور بھی ہیں وصل کی راحت کے سوا، انگنت صدیوں کے تاریک بہیمانہ طلسم، ریشم و اطلس و کم خواب میں بنوائے ہوئے، جاں بجا بکتے ہوئے کوچہ و بازار میں جسم، خاک میں لتڑے ہوئے خون میں نہلائے ہوئے، لوٹ جاتی ہیں ادھر کو بھی نظر کیا کیجیے، اب بھی دلکش ہے تیرا حسن مگر کیا کیجیے، اور بھی دکھ ہے زمانے میں محبت کے سوا، راحتیں اور بھی ہیں وصل کی راحت کے سوا، مجھ سے پہلی سی محبت میرے محبوب نہ مانگ۔ اور ایک نظم ان کی خوبصورت نظم ہے کہ آ کے وابستہ ہے اس حسن کی یادیں تجھ سے، آ کے وابستہ ہے اس حسن کی یادیں تجھ سے، جس نے اس دل کو پری خانہ بنا رکھا تھا، جس کی الفت میں بلا رکھی تھی دنیا ہم نے، دہر کو دہر کا افسانہ بنا رکھا تھا، آشنا ہے تیرے قدموں سے وہ راہیں جن پر، آشنا ہے تیرے قدموں سے وہ راہیں جن پر، اس کی مدہوش جوانی نے عنایت کی ہے، کارواں گزرے ہیں جن سے اسی رعنائی کے، جس کی ان آنکھوں نے بے سود عبادت کی ہے، تجھ سے کھیلی ہے وہ محبوب ہوائیں جن میں، اس کے ملبوس کی افسردہ مہک باقی ہے، تجھ پہ برسی ہے اسی بام سے مہتاب کا نور، جس میں بیتی ہوئی راتوں کی کسک باقی ہے، تو نے دیکھی ہے، تو نے دیکھی ہے وہ پیشانی وہ رخسار وہ ہونٹ، زندگی جن کے تصور میں لٹا دی ہم نے، تجھ پہ اٹھی ہے وہ کھوئی ہوئی ساحر آنکھیں، تجھ کو معلوم ہے کیوں عمر گوا دی ہم نے، ہم پہ مشترکہ ہے احسان غم الفت کے، اتنے احسان کہ گنواؤں تو گنوا نہ سکوں، ہم نے اس عشق میں کیا کھویا ہے کیا سیکھا ہے، جس تیرے اور کو سمجھاؤں تو سمجھا نہ سکوں، عاجزی سیکھی غریبوں کی حمایت سیکھی، یا سو ہرماں کے دکھ درد کے معنی سیکھے، زیر دست زیر دستوں کے مصائب کو سمجھنا سیکھا، سرد آہوں کے رخ زرد کے معنی سیکھے، جب کہیں بیٹھ کے روتے ہیں وہ بے کس جن کے اشک آنکھوں میں بلکتے ہوئے سو جاتے ہیں، ناتوانوں کے نوالوں پہ جپٹتے ہیں عقاب، بازو تولے ہوئے مڈلاتے ہوئے آتے ہیں، جب کبھی بکتا ہے بازار میں مزدور کا گوشت، شاہراہوں پہ غریبوں کا لہو بہتا ہے، آگ سی سینے میں رہ رہ کے ابلتی ہے نہ پوچھ، اپنے دل پر مجھے قابو ہی نہیں رہتا ہے۔ آئی تھنک کافی ہے۔ یہاں پہ کون کون ہے؟ پھر ان کا اور ایک استاد آتا ہے، اس کا پڑھتا ہوں، سب کا ایک استاد ہے، ٹھیک ہے، اب اگر میں اس کا نہ پڑھوں تو لڑائی ہو جائے گی۔ اگر ان کا نہ پڑھے تو یہ جناب جو ہیں آ جائیں گے۔ فرماتے ہیں کہ نیا ایک رشتہ پیدا کیوں کرے ہم، نیا ایک رشتہ پیدا کیوں کرے ہم، بچھڑنا ہے تو جھگڑا کیوں کرے ہم؟ نیا ایک رشتہ پیدا کیوں کرے ہم، بچھڑنا ہے تو جھگڑا کیوں کرے ہم؟ خاموشی سے ادا ہو رسم دوری، کوئی ہنگامہ برپا کیوں کرے ہم؟ یہ کافی ہے کہ ہم دشمن نہیں ہیں، وفاداری کا دعویٰ کیوں کرے ہم؟ وفا، اخلاص، قربانی، محبت، اب ان لفظوں کا پیچھا کیوں کرے ہم؟ ہماری ہی تمنا کیوں کرو تم، تمہاری ہی تمنا کیوں کرے ہم؟ کیا تھا عہد جب لمحوں میں ہم نے، تو ساری عمر ایفا کیوں کرے ہم؟ نہیں دنیا کو جب پرواہ ہماری، تو پھر دنیا کی پرواہ کیوں کرے ہم؟ یہ بستی ہے مسلمانوں کی بستی، یہاں کار مسیحا کیوں کرے ہم؟ یہاں کار مسیحا کیوں کرے ہم؟ فرماتے ہیں کہ عمر گزرے گی امتحان میں کیا، عمر گزرے گی امتحان میں کیا، داغ ہی دیں گے مجھ کو دان میں کیا، میری ہر بات بے اثر ہی رہی، میری ہر بات بے اثر ہی رہی، نقص ہے کچھ میرے بیان میں کیا، مجھ کو تو کوئی ٹوکتا بھی نہیں، یہی ہوتا ہے خاندان میں کیا، اپنی محرومیاں چھپاتے ہیں ہم غریبوں کی آن بان میں کیا، خود کو جانا جدا زمانے سے، آ گیا تھا میرے گمان میں کیا، شام ہی سے دکان دید ہے بند، نہیں نقصان تک دکان میں کیا، بولتے کیوں نہیں میرے حق میں، آبلے پڑ گئے زباں میں کیا، خاموشی کہہ رہی ہے کان میں کیا، آ رہا ہے میرے گماں میں کیا، وہ ملے تو یہ پوچھنا ہے مجھے، اب بھی ہوں میں تیری امان میں کیا، یوں جو تکتا ہے آسمان کو تو، کوئی رہتا ہے آسمان میں کیا، یوں جو تکتا ہے آسمان کو تو، کوئی رہتا ہے آسمان میں کیا، ہے نسیم بہار غرد آلود، خاک اڑتی ہے اس مقام میں کیا، یہ مجھے چین کیوں نہیں پڑتا، ایک ہی شخص تھا جہاں میں کیا۔ تو یہ تھے ان سب کے استاد جانی لی۔ تو ان کا برے کلام پڑھتا ہوں، پھر اس کے بعد سٹریم بند کر دیتے ہیں۔ فرماتے ہیں کہ ضبط کر کے ہنسی کو بھول گیا، ضبط کر کے ہنسی کو بھول گیا، میں تو اس زخم ہی کو بھول گیا، ذات در ذات ہم سفر رہ کر، اجنبی اجنبی کو بھول گیا، صبح تک وجہ جاں کنی تھی جو بات، میں اسی شام ہی کو بھول گیا، عہد وابستگی گزار کے میں وجہ وابستگی کو بھول گیا، سب دلیلیں تو مجھ کو یاد رہیں، بحث کیا تھی اسی کو بھول گیا، کیوں نہ ہو ناز اس ذہانت پر، ایک میں ہر کسی کو بھول گیا، سب سے پرامن واقعہ یہ ہے، سب سے پرامن واقعہ یہ ہے، آدمی آدمی کو بھول گیا، کہا مارتے ہی دیوانہ ہر غم زندگی کو بھول گیا، خواب ہا خواب جس کو چاہا تھا، رنگ ہا رنگ اسی کو بھول گیا، کیا قیامت ہوئی اگر ایک شخص اپنی خوش قسمتی کو بھول گیا، سوچ کر اس کی خلوت انجمنی، میں اپنی کمی کو بھول گیا، سب برے مجھ کو یاد رہتے ہیں، جو بلا تھا اسی کو بھول گیا، ان سے وعدہ تو کر لیا لیکن اپنی کم فرصتی کو بھول گیا، بستیوں اب تو راستہ دے دو، اب تو میں اس گلی کو بھول گیا، اس نے گویا مجھ ہی کو یاد رکھا، میں بھی گویا اسی کو بھول گیا، یعنی تم ہو واقع حد ہے، میں تو سچ مچ سبھی کو بھول گیا، آخری بت خدا نہ کیوں ٹھہرے، بت شکن بت گھری کو بھول گیا، اب تو ہر بات یاد رہتی ہے، غالباً میں کسی کو بھول گیا، اس کی خوشیوں سے جلنے والا جان اپنی ایذا دہی کو بھول گیا، اپنی ایذا دہی کو بھول گیا۔ چلیے ٹیک کیئر، آج کے لیے اتنا کافی ہے، कल हम चलिए मैं देखता हूँ कल जूम मीटिंग के लिए आई बी कॉलिंग अप नेम्स। आप बता दीजिए आप में से कौन आएगा। टेल मी अकॉर्डिंगली, फिर मैं उसको लिंक अकॉर्डिंगली भेजूंगा कल। मुझे ट्विटर पे डीएम कीजिएगा जिसको ज्वाइन करना होगा। कल देखते हैं फिर, पहले देख तो लें कितने बंदे आ रहे हैं, अकॉर्डिंगली हम फिर टाइमिंग भी रखेंगे कल। मुझे कहिएगा ट्विटर पे किस किस को आना होगा। चलिए ठीक है।